Welcome to our part 2 of our last lesson on complaining and blaming. In our last lesson, I spoke about the signs of a person who is a complainer. If you want to know you are a complainer or your spouse is a complainer, what you're supposed to look out for. And also I talked about the effects of complaining and blaming your spouse and how it can grievously affect your marriage. Today in this part 2, I'm going to talk about how to stop this bad habit of complaining and blaming your spouse over anything and everything. How to stop complaining and blaming and to start living. There is no marriage that is perfect. All marriages have issues, and there is no blueprint to any marriage. Instead of complaining, we can sit down and talk. But even in talking, we must be very humble, because if we lack humility, then we will not be able to communicate, because no one will listen to each other. Let's talk about how to stop complaining and start living, because we have to live. We are in marriage and we have to live this marriage. We have to enjoy this marriage. We have to make a heaven in our homes. Number one, we need to accept that we are all human beings and we are bound to mistakes. We are all weak and have fallen short of the glory of God. And that means we will make mistakes, not once, not twice, but every time. Once we accept that, we need to learn to forgive. We need to learn to forgive. Because if you cannot forgive, you will live a bitter life. You will live a painful life. Forgiveness is the beginning of healing. Forgiveness is the beginning of healing. When you forgive and you let it go, and you let God come and take control, He will give you the graces to overcome the pain, the graces to overcome the disappointment. Once we review ourselves and we realize that yes, we are complainers and we are blamers, we keep on complaining and blaming each other, the first thing to do is to accept that yes, I am a perpetual complainer. I have this bad manners of blaming my wife. And after accepting, I need to make effort to stop it. Deliberate efforts to stop complaining and to stop blame games. We need to pray over it. Because without praying, to stop such a habit it's very hard to stop a habit. Habit, there is Habit. It's a 5-letter word. When you remove H, it is a bit. A bit of what? A bit of that habit. When you remove A, it is bit. Bit of what? Bit of that habit. When you remove B, it is it. What is that it? That it is that habit. So it is very hard to stop a habit unless we make it a prayer item and make deliberate prayers asking God to help us stop this habit of complaining and this habit of blaming each other. It will never end. We must have realistic expectations and goals. When your goals are overly high, or you have too much expectations and they are not met, you will complain and you will blame your spouse. And also, let's be very flexible with our expectations, so that if it is met, we give thanks to God. If it is not met, we can adjust. We can adjust and move forward. But the moment it is not met and you hold it as a grudge, it will lead to blame games, it will lead to complaints, and then it will lead to pain, frustration, and stress, and then you get depressed. A writer by the name Mike Tucker says this is how you can stop complaining, or you can stop being a perpetual complainer and blaming your spouse for everything. Number one, choose gratitude. Choose to focus on the blessings that you have rather than complaining about what you do not have. Choose to focus on the blessings you have rather than complain about what you do not have. Number 2, he says, focus on the bigger picture. Focus on making your marriage better and happier than on the little things that don't mean much. Number 3, he says, communicate better. Express yourself about your concerns in a better way rather than complain. Learn how to talk and listen without judging your spouse.